Welcome back. Now that COVID-19 vaccines are getting into the arms of Americans, two categories of society are emerging. So those who have been vaccinated or exposed to the virus and presumed safe, and those who have not. So as we slowly work our way back to normalcy, how can technology keep and help in keeping everyone safe? Joining us now with more on this, Shelly Palmer, tech consultant and host of the Strategy Hacker live stream. Now, Shelly, this is so interesting because it's not a question of can this be done? We know that technology can do this, but it's more about, are we going to get people to follow this? Can we force people to do this? I love your kind of take on this, so please explain.
So there are lots of apps out there. In fact, New York State has one. You have the COVID Alert NY app, which you can download on your phone, and it will tell you if you're in contact with someone who's tested positive. And there are vaccine passports out there. In fact, there's a really good organization made up of Microsoft and Salesforce and Mayo Clinic called vaccinecredential.org. And both of these technologies taken together are incredibly simple to use. One is a vaccine passport that lets everyone know you've been vaccinated who has signed on to the program, and others, the alerts let you know if you've been in contact. Here's the thing. They're all voluntary, and will you use them? Who is going to actually decide that, nah, you know what, I want an app on my phone that tells people I'm not safe to go into a building? This is really getting very difficult. Right now, we've got people who are, anti-vaxxers and people who are pro-vaccine, and they kind of separate themselves. But as we get closer to herd immunity, as more and more people get vaccinated, we have a lot of clients that are saying, well, we're going to have all our employees vaccinated. Really? Are you? And if so, how will you tell? And how will you guarantee that? It's really difficult to understand how people are going to volunteer their ways into this. And if you force them, what's going to happen?
Yeah, and we know we've talked about maybe the government not being able to mandate this vaccine, but when you talk about employers saying, hey, well, we're not going to hire you if you don't have a vaccine. So technically, you kind of are being forced into doing it. I know it's still your choice, but how does this all, play out?
Well, it
for
is your choice. There was a young lady, a waitress at Red Hook Tavern in New York, who was told she had to get the vaccine. She said, look, I want to get pregnant. I don't know if the vaccine has any impact on people who are trying to get pregnant or women who are pregnant. So I'm not going to do it. And they said, well, we have to fire you. And she's like, I understand. She's not an anti-vaxxer. She's just being reasonable. There's no research about that. And they're absolutely within their rights to terminate you if you say no. The question is, so we're all going to a restaurant and the bouncer says, sorry, none of you, you can only come in here if you have a vaccine passport. So you go across the street where the bouncer doesn't ask you that. So in one restaurant, you've got a super spreader event. In the other restaurant, you've got people who are all vaccinated. This is way more complicated. And it's not a tech issue, Bianca. It's a people issue. And we're going to have to work out our relationship with the technology that labels us safe and unsafe. And it's important to start talking about it today because we're just a few months from when we are in two groups, safe and unsafe. And the question is, how are we going to deal with it?
Big, very big question to answer there. I guess we're just going to have to see how this plays out. Shelly, always great talking to you. Love your insight. We'll chat with you next week.
You bet.